All right, this is Uptick Talk, episode 6, and today we have the Monk on. The Monk, thanks for being here. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm very good. Thanks for having me here, John.
Hmm.
I'm Sebastian. You can call me Sebastian, or you can call me the Monk.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's my surname.
Yep.
So if you're wondering who is the Monk, I am the Monk. Um, yeah. Like I was saying just before you press the record button,
Mm.
I come from a traditional background, so I'm kind of new in the digital art and digital drawing, so to speak. I only started about 2 years ago
Mm-hmm.
during lockdown. But before that, like I was saying, I used to draw on my notebooks, and even when I was in school, the back of my notebook, it was always full with graffiti drawings and characters and all that sort of stuff, because I don't know about you, but I didn't find all the classes interesting. So when I was getting bored, I was just going back to my drawing stuff. So, and I was just waiting for the time to pass.
Mm. They don't teach you the most useful stuff at school, that's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, this is how I started basically. I can go even back when I was, I guess, about 7 years old. We used to have at home a dictionary, but it was with pictures as well, with from different stuff, like from even from space and flags and plants and animals.
Mm-hmm.
It was really interesting. And I remember, yeah, I was tracing those images. I remember tracing the how do you call the lunar machine, the spacecraft, so to speak, which they've been using on the first journey to the moon. So
Okay.
I was tracing that, yeah, and then I was watching cartoons. It was the time when Cartoon Network break in, because I was born in Romania during the communist regime when Ceausescu was in power.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1989, the revolution started. So Romania went into some sort of capitalism, but no one knew exactly what that is. No one knew exactly what to do with the freedom we've got. So it was confusing times for everybody. But at the same time, a lot of good things happened, such as I don't know, new information, new books, new music, new channels on TV, and it was Cartoon Network included, and I was fascinated by some of the cartoons, because remember, I grew up with only two channels on TV, and basically it was only one, because the other one, it was airing like 3 hours a day, something like that. And we used to got cartoons only on weekends,
Mm.
Saturday and Sunday. It was an entertainment program, and they were broadcasting like, I think, 5 or 10 minutes of cartoons, and that was it. So for me, it was something really new. So yeah, and
So
then I
when
grew
did
up.
you go to the U when did you now you're in London or you're in the UK?
I'm in London, and I live in the UK for about 15, 16 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The whole family
First,
came across, or it was just you?
well, it's a funny story, because we've been here first time in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
My father used to work in here, and I came with my mom. So I went to school in here. I can't remember exactly for how long we've been at that time. But for some reason, my mom wanted to go back, because she said, no, you have to finish the school over there. But I think it was because she wasn't adapting that well like I was,
Mm-hmm.
because I was very young, and I liked everything around me, because it was a different country, a different environment, different people. It was everything. It was different to me. And imagine a 9 or 10 year kid at that time coming to London, and finding all the sweets and drinks and people, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went back. My dad stayed in here for another couple of years, I guess. And then I'm not sure exactly for how long I've been back to Romania, but then I think I was 22, if I'm not wrong. I came back to the UK, and I didn't left. I just moved in here,
Mhm.
rent a flat. It was a very small flat in the beginning, but yeah, so that's when my journey started in London.
Hmm.
And yeah, I love this city.
Mhm.
So yeah, this is how I got in the UK. But
That's
I
interesting.
would say I would say I'm more connected with London now and the UK than I'm with Romania, because I think I lived more than half of my life in here.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, but I still go back, from time to time. I see my family. They are coming over, but yeah, I live my life in here.
Nice. Nice. I think, by the way, I think your camera died. Maybe you're using your phone there, but we can keep
Yeah,
going. I'll just overlay some of your art over where your face was before. It was good to see you while we could. Yeah. So you were talking about doodling, 7 years old, picture dictionary sort of things,
yeah.
sketching, and now you're doing digital stuff. What are you making your art with now? You've got like a iPad or some sort of tablet, or how do you do it now?
Yeah, I'm using a Wacom graphic tablet,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm watching my screen. And I'm using depends on the drawing, because lately I've been working on some pixel art as well, and I'm working in Sprite, which is a very handy software, for pixel art and animation, and if you're a indie game developer and all that, that's a really handy software to have.
Can you say the name again? Ace
Uh,
Sprite?
Sprite, yeah.
How do you spell that?
So it's
Mm-hmm.
Asepritee, Sprite.
Okay.
So yeah, and for normal drawings, I use Clip Studio Paint and Photoshop sometimes. Sometimes I'm using both. I can involve even Illustrator at some point. I've done, a couple of arts in Illustrator as well.
Mm-hmm.
It really depends. It depends on what I'm trying to express, so to speak. And this is a really nice thing about drawing and art in general, because, sometimes whatever you have in your mind or whatever you want to speak, you just can't. Yeah, so take for
Yeah.
example, when you have a friend with you, and he's trying to explain something to you, even if it's a technical thing or a different stuff. And very often, he says, you know what, just give me a piece of paper and a pen and I'll draw it for you. And as soon as you see those lines on the paper, and as soon as you see what he's trying to draw, you get the idea, like very quick. So it's the same thing with art, because sometimes you can express a saying, sometimes you can express an idea, and you wouldn't be able to, explain it in words. So yeah, you just lay down on paper.
Yeah, I totally understand. The words, it's so hard to communicate what you're thinking or how you're feeling, but images totally helps. I think that's where, the popularity of memes kind of comes from. With a meme, you can communicate so much more than just typing what you're thinking.
Exactly. And at the same time, it's up to every individual, because I see art in a way, you might see it in a different way, or maybe I see some details that you don't see, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it.
I think that's the best art there is. Like I love Picasso, I could look at that painting all day long and like keep seeing new things and just keep going around and around. And if it's super simple, I guess it's not art. Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of Picasso, he's one of the greatest, and I was amazed when I found out about him. Like in the very beginning, he was drawing like everyone else, like realistic painting, so to speak, and then he developed the technique which is well known for.
Huh. I didn't know that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it was an explosion of culture in France,
Mm-hmm.
in at the beginning of the 20th century, the end of the 19th century. And it was a really nice environment for an artist. And most of them, they wanted to be in Paris at that time. And I'm talking about painters, I'm talking about sculptors, even musicians. So I think they inspired each other, because up to that point, everybody was trying to draw perfect, like, realism, yeah.
Yeah.
But then they came with different techniques, and they tried new colors. I mean, if I'm not wrong, Gauguin, he was the first one who used a different color for the skin tone. Up to that point, everybody was using the ivory or cream, whatever the color of the skin is.
Mm.
But he made some paintings with a woman and her skin was green, or shades of blue, or different pink.
Yeah.
And it was something revolutionary at that time, because no one was expecting. And it was like a the crowd was divided like 50-50. Some of them were saying, oh, this guy is a genius, so this is the way we're gonna go. And the other half was saying, no, this is just some, that's not what it was supposed to be, and he's got no future, and so on.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Interesting. So how did you learn this stuff? You went to art school or you just read books or how did you learn the
um
history?
I haven't done one lesson in my life about art. I haven't been to any art school.
Mm-hmm.
It was just in me. I mean, I always felt the need to draw. Wherever I was, trying to disconnect from, because I've got this problem, my mind is always working, so it's really hard to put it at sleep. It's really hard to disconnect because I'm constantly thinking on stuff. And how
Yeah,
does
you're
that work?
cursed.
And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know people like that.
So drawing was my only, place where I would go, and it's kind of quiet, and it's just that the time flies. I mean, I can sit down and draw for like 3-4 hours, and I don't even know when, those hours are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just, I had this drive uh, for drawing. And at the same time, when I grew up, I grew up with MTV and all that. So it was the hip hop era and the graffiti kind of stuff. So I was just becoming a teenager. So I wanted to be involved in that, sort of lifestyle. And that's how I started doing graffiti.
I see.
We've been to some contests. We won three of them. One of them was actually the first place, and we came second in the other two. So it was really nice. I was always, in the creative environment, so to speak, because I always liked music. I couldn't do anything without music. I find everything boring if you don't play a song at least 1-2 songs a day, or whenever you need to pick yourself up. Or so yeah, I don't know exactly what to say. And then I would say I'm more like a self-taught, because like I said, I'm always curious, and I wanted to find out who was the first painter, what technique they were using back then, and what sort of paints, how did they, where did they buy the paint or the brushes, or
Hmm.
and so one thing led me to another, and this is how I learned so many about art. And but like I said, I am a creative person myself, because my bills are paid by graphic design, and it's always been the case since I was like, I don't know, maybe 14-15 years old. So that's another side of the creativity, I put at work.
Hmm.
But lately, sorry, just one more thing. But lately, I took the drawing side of it more seriously, and I want to go full time in that. I'm not there yet, but the percentage is growing. So yeah.
That's great. That was my question. I was going to ask you if you're doing this full time or not, but you said you're doing graphic design to kind of pay the bills. What do you mean by graphic design? You're designing websites, or what do you do?
So websites, illustrations,
Yeah.
what else? Social media posts. And I was working for about 25 years as a sign maker. So I've got a good knowledge in sign making,
Mm-hmm.
shop signs and, window graphics and car graphics, that kind of stuff. So yeah,
How
it's
did you make the
plenty of
signs? That was like vinyl sheets or your
uh,
graffiti, a variety of ways?
yeah, I use vinyl and printed vinyl,
Mm-hmm.
but it really depends on the sign. Because, for example, if you need a lit up box, the fascia is an acrylic.
Mm-hmm.
Behind, there's an illumination system which could be LED. Back in the day, we used to use like tube lights,
Mm-hmm.
very long. If you remember the long white tube lights that.
Yeah, yeah.
But nowadays it's on LED, and then you have like an aluminum frame, or it could be a swing sign. It could be I don't know, a menu. It depends. It really depends on the customer needs. So
Yeah.
I was doing that for a while. That was my main job, so to speak. And then um, I never considered graphic design as a job in itself. For some reason, I was selling it as a package with my sign making stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because if someone was ordering a sign, obviously I was doing the mock-up and the graphic design was included.
Mm.
But then when I decided to stop the production side of it, because I just wanted to do, more work from sitting down, and then I took it more seriously, and I realized, graphic design in itself is a job that I can do, and I can create, all sort of, like I said, illustrations, flyers, business cards, whatever.
Yeah.
And again, one thing led me to another, because at some point I needed in a work I was doing, I needed a drawing. So I said, I'm gonna do it myself. Let me try.
Mm.
So this is how I bought my first graphic tablet,
Cool.
and yeah, I just took it from there.
Yeah.
So once I started, I didn't stop. So I'm doing it as we speak.
Awesome, awesome. I was going to ask you about that tablet. I didn't buy a Wacom, but I bought one of the other brands. There's like three competing companies, and I plugged it in, tried it out. Couldn't really figure out like the brushes and the sensitivity and the settings and that. And I haven't, it's been sitting around for a year. But what was the learning curve like getting your Wacom? Was it pretty easy to figure out for you, or it took a while?
Um, yeah, I mean, it wasn't difficult at all for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I was used to drawing, but on paper, so it's kind of similar. Once you get the settings right, it's kind of similar.
Mm,
But the good thing on a graphic tablet is, you can set up, for example, maybe you have when maybe you press hard when you draw, maybe you like to, draw thin lines or whatever, so you can adjust that, and you can't go wrong. And the other thing is, I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, having the undo option,
yeah.
because when you paint or when you draw traditionally, there's no mistake in there, and even if you make a mistake, you have to fix it somehow, along the process. But now when you draw digital, it's just Control Z, that's it, it's undo, and but at the same time could be a good thing, because you got by it's really hard to compare them, in my opinion. You can't really compare the traditional drawing with the digital drawing.
Mm-hmm.
But on the digital side, you can, have different outcomes, while the traditional art is more personal, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's, because you can see exactly when, the artist's hand was shaking, or you can see exactly the amount of pain he put in a particular painting. So I think it's more personal. So
I hear you. I hear you. We'll maybe we'll try to go for 30 minutes. We've got about 8 minutes left. If we go a little bit over, it's not the end of the world, but just try to uh wrap this up. I got a few questions though. So today you mentioned freedom and communism. Do you have any sort of political messages in your graffiti or your art, or is it mainly how you feel, or you just experiment with different things? Is there some consistent message with your art?
definitely there is a message. Definitely there is a political message in some of them, not in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But what is really important for me is the joy. I like to bring people joy
Mm-hmm.
and a bit of a smile if it's possible. So the way I draw stuff, at the first glance they look funny, so which gives you that joy I'm talking about. But if you go deeper and you study the details, you might find, a different message, or a deep message, or there is always something in there. You just have to look for it.
Mm.
There is a there is an illustration I did a while ago. It's pen on paper. I think it's on my Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's called The Golfer, or the player, the guy who plays golf or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a message to the political class over there. There is always a message, otherwise I wouldn't do it. But it depends. It all depends on the mood.
Mm-hmm.
I did a drawing, by the way, and I think is on Uptick as well. Again, it's pen on paper, ink
Mm-hmm.
on paper, sorry. And I call that a head full of ideas, but always with the empty pockets, which is true. The creative stereotype, so to speak, of, most of the artists were broke
Mm-hmm.
during their lifetime, but their head was so rich, in ideas and messages and all that stuff. So yeah, um, I
Yeah, there's a
think
lot to say there. There's a lot of struggling people, and I think, maybe life should have some struggle. I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of money that aren't happy at all. So,
you're you're
it's an
absolutely
adventure.
right. Yeah,
Mm,
and I think if you don't know what struggle means, you can't create meaningful stuff.
mm-hmm.
Because like you said, when you have money, life is much easier, and you miss some of the you know some of the points. You could be creative, or you can turn that bad energy in something good, and so on. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Cool. Cool. So what do you want to see from Uptick? Is there some features, functions that you'd like to see, or are there some other platforms you've tried out that you think, Uptick could learn from, or any comments about Uptick?
Well, first of all, shout out to Uptick people, and I have to thank them, because they showed me a lot of support. I didn't know about them, but I think they are growing slowly,
Mm,
and 'cause the website is pretty well built, I would say, it's similar to OpenSea.
mm-hmm.
And what I really like is the fact they operate in the Cosmos ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
which, we all know what happened with the FTX and, Sam Bankman-Fried and all the crypto market and all that, which was a big hit for everybody.
Mm,
And it was a big hit for the crypto world, which I don't see as bad as many are seeing it nowadays, and back in the day. So Atom is one of the coins which is still there. It devalued, obviously all of them are down at the minute, but still it's holding.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
I mean,
Adam's kind of gone down, but you expect a rebound at some point? Things will turn around?
well, I think so. But the thing is, I think it will be regulated because of what happened. And I don't think that's, the point. Because crypto is supposed to be
Yeah,
And you know what I'm talking about. It
totally.
was supposed, yeah, exactly. It was supposed to be from me to you directly, no middleman, no, you know.
Yeah.
But they have to regulate it now, because they will say, you see what happened with FTX? You don't want to happen that again in future. So your money is not safe unless we put some rules in here, unless we come up with some regulations and, you know, all that stuff. I think it will bounce back, but it will might take longer than we are thinking. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm fairly new to crypto market. I mean, I'm involved for the last couple of years only, so I'm not one of the pioneers. Although I read about Satoshi a very long time ago, and I found his idea really, really clever and genius in a way, you know.
Mm,
So yeah.
totally. Cool. Yeah, I'm hopeful. I think it'll be a struggle, but I think in the end, the people will win. I think there'll be a decentralized world. I'm kind of, optimistic. Even now with the video, I was trying to get information during, the last couple of years in that health crisis. But Odyssey or Rumble, it's pretty uncentralized over there. So I think, yeah, things will turn around. And I think Uptick, it's not just the art NFT market, but also, they're building the infrastructure for all sorts of Web3 sort of apps. So I think, if more companies do that, I think we'll have a chance. Of course, the people in charge don't want that to happen, but I don't, just like Bitcoin, they can't, I don't think they can control it, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I don't think they can control it either. Still, it was a big hit. It wasn't supposed to happen. In my opinion, whatever happened with FTX, it's something that it wasn't supposed to happen. But well, it is what it is, and yeah, we have to carry on. I mean, again, if it's a good idea and if people believe in it, why not? We
Totally.
yeah. So
Cool, man. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Is there anything else you want to say? Yeah, you want to mention anything, or you have any other topics you want to talk about?
um I I don't know, to be honest. What I want to say is thank you for having me here.
Mm,
I would really love to follow you on YouTube and all the content you're doing. So if you can send me a link, that would be great.
sure.
And what else? Keep creating. Um, I think that's one of the best thing we can do on this planet. Create stuff, because that brings us, some sort of reward. And I'm not talking about financially necessarily. It could be financially as well.
Mm. But
But
you said it's all about making people happy, right?
yeah, it's all about the joy. This is what I was gonna say. For me, it's all about the joy.
Mm,
If I see someone laughing, that's all I want. And if I can, have a conversation with someone very serious, but at some point we go on a different route that makes us laugh, I'm totally up for that. So joy. This is what I want to bring in this world. Joy.
mm,
Nothing else. I'm not an expert. I'm not a connoisseur. I'm not nothing. I'm just, a regular person, but I really want to bring joy
yeah,
to.
we need more of that. Okay, thanks a lot, Sebastian. I'll let you go and hope to see you again. Take care.
You're welcome. Thank you. And you. Bye bye.